been an eventful week, lads, hasn't it?
Another one in the life of a Newcastle United supporter.
One of many. Part one, two. Sorry, we'll be discussing the new head coach, Steve Bruce. What everyone in the studio thinks, pros, cons, to whether he's a good choice. And in part two, we'll be talking about what he's been saying in his press conferences and players backing him and everything like that. Part three, we'll be reviewing the Asia Cup games between Newcastle and Wolves and Newcastle and West Ham. Part 4, Newcastle's transfer business or lack of. And in part 5, we'll be talking about Newcastle's upcoming games against Preston, Hibs and Sid Etienne. So lads, Sunday, what he's been doing with your week, is alright?
Go on, Paul, get it off your chest.
A lot better after the West Ham game, put it that way. At least allowed us to stop thinking about takeovers, fakeovers, transfer records, deals, radio DJs from over the UAE, all that sort of thing. So it was good for that.
I completely agree. Yesterday was just a bit of a relief. I know it's only a friendly, and people say this, but it's been such a negative summer. So to have the nicety of yesterday, it's just a relief. Lee, how are you doing? You alright?
I'm not bad. I'm just trying to sort the stream out with everybody on YouTube. But apart from that, it was really good just to talk about football for a change rather than
the
obviously the politics.
Behind it, yeah.
You've just literally just said it. So I'm sure you'll get on with Steve Bruce and the matches and that. But it was great just to see two matches and talk about football for change.
Yeah. And Rob, how are you? Lastly.
I'm it's been an interesting week, but on a positive note, I did interview Steve Watson for my thesis, the York City manager and of course former Newcastle defender / midfielder.
Yep, so intriguing week. Well, firstly, the main news on Tuesday morning, I think it was. If I'm correct, if I'm wrong, correct us if I'm wrong. Comments.
Do your research before the show.
It's all a blur, isn't it? It's all a blur.
It's all a blur. Newcastle appointed Steve Bruce an hour before kick-off against Wolves. So it was all the first friendly was a day of many talking points, including Steve Bruce being appointed head coach on a 3-year deal. What are your thoughts on that? Steve Bruce being appointed head coach instead of manager.
You just said it literally there, Kyle, haven't you? Head coach.
Yeah.
That entails to me that he doesn't have a full say on the transfers. I know you want to get on with his press conference later on, but he said that he has the final say on transfers. No, he doesn't. We all know that. That Steve Bruce has got his dream job, and because of that reason, he's happy to accept the fact that he's managing the footballing side of things, which is the players, picking tactics, etc., keeping an eye on the youth development, whatever. But head coach is a horrible title to give someone. They should have just named him manager, even if he's not manager, just to stop the fans and the media. Because as soon as something goes wrong, they're going to jump on that. It's the wrong title to give him. Even if they lied, they should have just said he's manager. Full stop.
To be fair, though, isn't Pep Guardiola currently head coach at Manchester City? I know he's doing much better than us in his leagues ahead of us, but they've got the same type of system where they work for a group of people and he gets a number of targets and then they work with him to get them kind of players. And look at them at the moment; they're doing really well.
They've got money though, Carl. That's the problem. We don't. And I must apologise at the beginning of the show because I've been pulled on it a few times on the on Newcastle Fans TV this week. I do apologise about the Geordie DNA comments that I made previously. I just didn't realise it was going to be quite this bad. Not exactly what I had in mind, but obviously it'll all come out in the wash over the next 2 hours.
And indeed it will. But the first part of the show, I just wanted to argue, to have a debate about Steve Bruce, whether he's the right man for the job, whether he's wrong, what are the pros, what are the cons. Because I'm sure the comment section on our YouTube channel will be very opinionated on whether he's not good enough for the job. But I'm going to try and argue the points of years.
Good luck.
I'm going to sit on the side of I'm going to try and be positive.
You're sitting on Johnny's side.
I'm going to play the devil's advocate, and then you can argue against.
You're not going to fence it, are you, though, Kyle? You're not going to fence it.
I'm not going to fence it.
Oh, good.
That's not me. That left a month ago, unfortunately. But Steve Bruce. So I'm going to argue that the first argument I want to make is that he's a local lad and he's going to get what it means to be Newcastle United manager. What would you argue back at me?
Means nothing, that. Well, no, it means something to some people, but Steve Bruce grew up, but how long has he lived away from Newcastle? You're talking probably, 30 years, possibly even 40, because he went on to play for, who was his first club before he went to Norwich? Someone remind me. Then he went on to Man United. I think it was Joelinton. Was it Joelinton?
Didn't he have a trial at Burnley? I
I'm
think
sure
he
it
had a
was
trial at
Joelinton.
Burnley because after he left St James's, and he was told you weren't good enough at St James's
To be fair,
Park.
he proved them wrong as a player, didn't he?
He
He's
did
a
prove
hell
them
of a
wrong.
player.
Yeah, he
Never
did.
got capped for England though, which is a shock.
But he goes
But-
down as one of the best centre-backs never to play for England.
Definitely, I would agree on that. But
With Mike Williamson,
he's
I reckon.
moved away, and the way he says coach, I know your accent's go, but he says coach. I mean, that grinds on me in itself, because if you're Geordie, you don't say coach.
Yeah, but if he gets us safety, like the accent is probably the last thing you're gonna sort of
No,
like,
but
split hairs on.
Yeah, they've gone major league having that on the he's local.
it doesn't, for Steve Bruce,
Yeah,
I don't care that he's managed Sunderland. I look at his CV
Most
first.
of the players have played for Sunderland. In fact, later on the show, we're going to be talking about Danny Rose. He used to play for Sunderland.
Not
since
Danny
they played
Welbeck,
back
another
then.
one you may as well
Danny
chuck in there.
Lee Cattermore's a free agent, so
No.
a former Sunderland player.
wash your mouth out.
But for me, I think some people it matters, but people are jumping on this, he's a Geordie, but it doesn't mean now that. It doesn't mean now for me. I look at his CV and say, is he a winning manager? Has he got a stability on his CV? Has he done anything on his CV? The only thing he's done is he's got Hull to a FA Cup final, relegated a couple of sides, and got three teams promoted. Apart from that, is that enough? And he's been out in the Premier League for almost a decade.
3 years.
Well, before
Not quite a
that,
decade, Lee.
but before that, so he's been one season out of 10, I believe.
Well, actually, it's really 4 years, but I say 3 years because it was 3 years ago that he got Hull promoted, and he left because of the owners.
Sorry, I'll rephrase that.
He
He's
left
never
bec-
been
he left
appointed.
because of the owners just before the season started, and
He's never been.
If he left because of the owners,
I'm gonna get in. I'm gonna get my words in. Yeah,
Was he?
he's never been appointed in a Premier League job for over a decade.
Until now, but I'd argue Rob's point. I'd say he's a very experienced Premier
He
League
is.
manager. I mean, I've seen the
So was Joe Kinnear though. Come on, let's be honest.
Joe Kinnear was
So
playing
Sam
when
Allardyce.
dinosaurs were around.
Yeah.
That's how old Joe Kinnear is. But Steve Bruce has had over 400 games as a Premier League manager, hasn't he? So it's like he knows the trade of the Premier League. He gets it, I suppose. I mean, yeah, he hasn't done great, but what I'd argue is at Sunderland he did kind of get backed, and he finished he finished mid-table, so he could do it with us. Do you know what I mean? So.
But I just personally think if Rafa was still here, and we'll mention his name a few times
Yeah,
today,
of course.
would we be looking to push on from the 10th to 13th to maybe 8th to 10th? And to me, it just sort of, the alarm bells go off because you think it's just it's a downward appointment. It's just another example of Ashley trying to lower fans' expectations.
Yeah.
Like he's done after Houghton, after he's done after Keegan, he will get a manager in who will lower down and dampen the expectations.
Yeah.
All of a sudden we're talking pushing into that top 10, and now we're talking about just staying up fourth bottom.
Very true, but I would say any manager that walks into the Newcastle job after Rafa Benitez, we're not going to get a step up from him. I mean, you could try. I mean, we've got linked with Jose Mourinho, we've got linked with a couple of others, but realistically, we weren't going to bring in anyone.
That's the problem, Kyle.
And that's the problem.
Yeah, that we don't try. We do not
Yeah,
try. I
it's
just
for-
don't. I just
it's for
don't
the lack
care.
of trying. It's because probably since Mike Ashley took over the club, the stature in Newcastle's went down because you look before he took over, we were regular in Europe. We're in the top 8 most seasons. I mean, the season beforehand, I think we finished 13th or 14th, but that was like a one-off season beforehand, and we were very relevant in Premier League football for a good couple of years. And then Mike Ashley takes over, we'll get relegated twice, we've been beat off a rival six times in a row, constant upheaval at the club, whether it's changing the name of St James's Park, hiring absolute idiots, it's one thing after another, and over time, it's lowered the stature of the football club, and it's been Newcastle's smaller club for it.
We were the 13th richest club in the world when he took over, ahead of the likes of Spurs, and now I think we dipped to 21st or something like that, and then we're back up to 19th. There's just not a single area of the club that you can say he's put his hands on, he's got down to it, and it's sorted, it's better. Every aspect, the stadium, the facilities, the youth setup, everything, he's downgraded it since he's
I think
came in.
the only thing Ashley hasn't really damaged is probably the fan base. But even then, with the boycott and everything, people are walking away. So he is affecting literally everything at the football club.
You've got a division as well amongst the fans.
Yeah, of course.
It's like a disease. It just gets worse and worse the more that he's left there. And just like a disease, he needs to be extracted.
Yeah.
Extracted out, got rid of.
Of course, but we're going a bit off topic. We're going towards the evil Mike Ashley and not talking about the great Steve Bruce, as I've got to argue his corner. But I'd argue in his last job at Sheffield Wednesday, even though he wasn't there long, I'd say he did an alright job there. I mean, I think he lost 3 in 18. So I'd say he's like recently to go off. You'd say with average players at Sheffield Wednesday, he did a really good job. So maybe
Sheffield Wednesday fans wouldn't say that, man, Kyle.
Sheffield Wednesday fans would say he did a good job, but they've
got no loyalty.
They'll have a sour taste in their mouth because they left. I watched a video from a Sheffield Wednesday fan last week, and he did do a really good job at Wednesday. They were looking forward to the new season under him because they were thinking maybe they could kick on towards the playoffs. Maybe they could even be a Premier League team because he's got an experience of getting teams into the Premier League. But the way he's left them's left a massive sour taste in the mouth. And if it was the other way around and a manager was leaving a couple of weeks before the start of the season to go to a different team, I'd have a sour taste in the mouth as well. So, you know, it's one of them. But again, I still think he did a good enough job at Sheffield Wednesday. Maybe not enough to warrant the Newcastle job, but the owners were on the 69th choice.
But at the end of the day,
choice.
If there was another manager's job at any other Premier League outfit, I don't think Steve Bruce would have been interviewed for it. He wouldn't have been shortlisted for it. But there is a lot of people. I mean, he's been talking about respect a lot since he come up, and I know a lot of people from down the Sheffield area, the South Yorkshire area, and people are absolutely up in arms. And it's all the Sheffield Wednesday supporters are against Steve Bruce and Mike Ashley for that matter. We generally all were against the appointment.
Yeah.
So it's an absolute mess, and it's gone from optimism because they honestly thought that they were in for a decent shout of at least getting the playoffs this season, and now they're in just total disarray.
But then again, there could be still something for them if they get Chris Hughton. I mean, if you ask a lot of Newcastle fans who they prefer with Steve Bruce and Chris Hughton will be coming back. Do you know what I mean? So they might get compensation to have a better manager in charge. So if you're Sheffield Wednesday, you're laughing at us, aren't you? But I'm trying to argue for Steve Bruce, not against him. So
sure, you sound like Johnny.
No. I'm gonna try and balance it because I know it's a 3 versus 1 battle here, and there are many in the comments against us as well. But I'll try and argue. That's not my actual opinion. Just so you know, that I'm just trying to play devil's advocate for the sake of a good show. But I would say he's got experience in steadying the ship in like circumstances with owners. Like look at what he did at Hull, bringing them back up before leaving, like Rob touched on before. He had the same at Villa, where they'd just been overtaken by the Chinese owners and they'd had a few problems. He had a couple of problems at Wigan, like the spending, where Ryan Taylor was their best player, and he managed to steady the ship there. In fact, did a really good job there. So
he has improved some players, like his Antonio Valencia, I remember, at Wigan. He was decent. Sam Clucas had a spell at Hull. Well, he was decent for about 18 months.
Modiane was another one who played well under Bruce.
Zogbia spoke well of him as well. Then they obviously got Harry Maguire, Andrew Robinson. So there is a few that are out there, but you're struggling to say more than 4 or 5, though, aren't you, in 20 years?
Yeah, he's found like good players in that, but my point is like he steadied the ship in difficult ownership circumstances.
Yeah, it's like he's made good use out of
what he has.
Players.
So if you're Mike Ashley and you're listening to this programme, please leave the club first and foremost. But if you're listening to the programme, you'd be thinking, well, he's good at steadying the ship. He knows he kind of knows what he's doing. But it's literally one of them. It's a struggle to be for Steve Bruce. But I'd say he has good experience in the Premier League, and he's good at experience. He's very experienced in steadying the ship under owners and everything like that.
Again, though, I'd just say if you're talking about boats, Newcastle United is like the Titanic. in comparison to Hull, which is like a little dinghy out to sea. So I think it's like comparing T-Rex and Barney the dinosaur again. It's that sort of old adage that, yeah, they're both dinosaurs, but one is a much, much bigger and ferocious beast. I think, to be honest, I think he's a sacrificial lamb. I think they put him in there because they know whoever was going to come in was going to get it, unless it was a really top draw. And I can't imagine Mike Ashley, Lee Charnley and co, Keith Bishop, paying the money for a decent manager. You know, he's the cheapest person available, you know, in terms of salary and stuff. And he knew that pretty much 99% he wouldn't turn the job down, where another 10 people, supposedly, according to Sky, had turned it down. So, you know, you can bring him in, he can be the scapegoat, and then bring somebody else in, and then it's positive PR because you're bringing in possibly a better manager after him. And then they'll think that the Newcastle fans will go easier on the next person. So I just think it's all political and all mind games.
I don't think the owners can play that trick anymore with the fan base, so, because they've done it year on year with a scapegoat. First it was Dennis Wise, then it was Derek Lambias, then it was Lee Charnley, then it was Joe Kinnear, then it was Joe Kinnear again, and then it was Alan Pardew. It's being used a lot, and I think when fans are venting anger towards anyone, it's not the manager this time, because who wouldn't turn down Newcastle United? If I got offered it, I would beat it.
That's the thing. We're not really, in a way, it's not against Steve Bruce as much as it's against Mike Ashley. He is the problem. So all that negativity, I mean, at the end of the day, if you protest outside the Sports Direct store, you're not protesting against the people who are going to bring your trainers down, are you? Yeah. You're protesting at the man who's at the top, and it's a similar sort of thing. But obviously Steve Bruce is going to get it in the neck, because I think 99% of Geordies, if they were asked, under the current ownership and current situation, would have said to Mike Ashley, politely, or not politely probably, if it was like some you know, where he needed to go. But you can't blame Steve Bruce in a way for taking the job once it's been offered. The issues lie all with two men, in my book.
Yeah, I completely agree. But in terms of Steve Bruce, I'm literally running out of notes. But like, in terms of trying to stick up for him and fight the argument, because I think I'm fighting the losing battle. Mm. But if he's given the like the backing from the board, if he gets these 4 or 5 players like he's mentioned in press conferences that he's asking, do you think he can actually improve Newcastle, keep in the same place, or avoid going backwards?
I think, unfortunately, we're going backwards, and Newcastle's realistic aim is to stay up.
Yeah, I would agree with that, concerning where 2 top goal scorers have gone. The top goal scorer from last season that we've got currently in the squad is one of our centre backs. So at the end of the day, it is uphill battle from day one, from the fans, from players, everything. Steve Bruce, is it the hardest job that he's took on his entire career so far?
Maybe, but I think the one big thing here is that we now finally know what is happening. I mean, we were here last week, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, constantly saying, look, we need to know what's going to be happening, you know, in preparation for the season. It's come really late. It should have been sorted a long, long time ago. But now we know what we're being faced with. Now we know what we're sort of, you know, getting ourselves into before the season. Now's the time to sort of, you know, plug on and try and improve matters.
Well, that is part 1 of the Football Fan Zone with Newcastle Fans TV. Talking about Steve Bruce running out of pros for me, and I think I've lost my argument as well. So people
just
in the
a
comments is probably against us and slating us. But yeah, in part 2 we're talking about what's been said in the press conferences with Steve Bruce and players backing him, like former players like Charles and Zogbia as well. But yeah, speak to you in a few.
Over back to you now.
Thank you, Rob. Welcome back, everyone, to the Football Fan Zone on Nova Radio Northeast 102.5 FM, as well as on live on YouTube through Newcastle Fans TV. I'm your host, Kyle Thompson. I'm joined by Lee Lawler, Paul Rutter, and Rob Spirrell. On tonight's show, we'll be discussing all things Newcastle United and what's been an absolutely mental week. Up next, we're talking about Steve Bruce again, what he's been talking about in press conferences. Several players, pundits, backing him up, former players of his, backing him to the hilt, saying that they do very well at Newcastle. Next up, after that, we'll be reviewing the Asia Cup games for midweek. Part 4 will be Newcastle United's transfer business, and then Part 5 will be Newcastle's upcoming games against Preston, Hibs and St Etienne. So that's Part 2, is again about the head coach, which is Steve Bruce. Many people coming out and defending him and talking him up. Firstly, though, the first one I want to bring attention to was Jamal Lascelles getting behind him, which is he's put here. Just need to find it. I did think when we came back from the come back into pre-season that would be quite difficult coming back and not having a manager. I thought the players could go off the rails and lose their heads, but they've remained professional. Change is always difficult as players. It's always difficult as players, and this is the first time this has happened to us as a group. We haven't really had any direction. The players have come across the white line, and you need heart, passion and desire to be able to do that. Hopefully we can bring in a few faces as well. So what do you think of the defence of Lascelles of Steve Bruce straight off the bat? What do you think?
There's going to be no player that's going to speak against him, is there?
Realistically, no, but...
No.
It's interesting what he said, saying without manager he could lack direction and everything like that. So you'd think the club would have appointed someone a bit quicker, because it has took them a while. It took them the morning of the first friendly to appoint someone. So you'd think with what Lascelles has said, of the opinion of we're going to lose, we've lost all control, we've never been here before. So it must be just as uncertain to the players as it is to the fans.
Surely Lascelles wasn't expecting a quick appointment. Surely he knows what Lee Charnley's like.
He looked well. Do you know when the news broke about an hour before the game?
Yeah.
Sky Sport had him on an interview behind a couple of sponsors. He did not look very happy, did he? To be fair to him.
Lascelles, no, indeed not. But Lascelles isn't the only one. Lee, as you mentioned earlier in the programme, Charles Nzobia backed Bruce, saying he was the best manager for his career and everything like that. I mean, I don't share. I mean, in his past managers haven't been graceful of the likes of Joe Kinnear, calling him and Sonia and Charlie. And
let's be honest, though, in Zogbia, somebody who reckons Wigan's a step up from Newcastle, do you honestly accept their opinion whatsoever?
Indeed.
No, I'm not having that.
There's a few of them. I know. Obviously, Rolanda Aarons and Shelby's spoke highly of Bruce as well, but I think in front of the camera, the players are not going to speak out against Steve Bruce. However, behind the scenes, when they're alone, texting each other and all of that, there'll be a few of them thinking, Jesus, we've got Steve Bruce now. But I think there'll be a few that'll doubt him. And again, Steve Bruce has got to convince not just the fans, he's got to convince the players that they believe in him and his coaching team. Look, we don't know what's going on with the training fields, but once the novelty wears off in the next couple of weeks and Steve Bruce is losing games, if he is losing games...
What are you on about? We're going to go undefeated all next season, man.
But will the players then lose him? Will he lose the dressing room after a few months? That's what we've got to look at further down the line.
Because that was my point before. Whoever he brought in was going to be up against it. You bring in Steve Bruce, and at the end of the day, if it doesn't go well, he is a sacrificial lamb, and then we'll bring in somebody who, in the fans' eyes, is probably better, and then it's positive PR out of a negative situation. They've absolutely thrown him to the wolves. They've not made his job any easier because of the delay, because of the confusion around around transfers, the farcical scenes with us having to play midfielders up as strikers. So they're not really helping him. So it's a win-win for them. If he does well, he's a cheap option, and that's okay. If he doesn't, he's not going. Yeah, literally. Yeah. And then we get somebody else in who's a bit better. And it's, aren't we great?
Yeah. But his first press conference as Newcastle manager, he responded straight away to the claims that you made earlier, Lee, that he's a yes man and head coach, and all the worry that he's not got a say and he's just going to have to.
I have the final say. That's the big thing that come out.
Final say, which he's came up and said straight away, mind, he's called those who are against that just full of nonsense, basically. So
I'm pleased you said that word clearly. That could have went so bad. That kind
so quickly. But what do you think of Steve Bruce coming out and addressing them straight away? Because in the past you've seen Carver just say utter delusion, like he's the best coach in the league, and Alan Pardew just straight up lying to the press and the fans. So for the manager to come straight out, whether he's a puppet or not, to come out and address these rumours, I think it's refreshing, because under Pardew we didn't have that. I mean, we've been accustomed to Rafa for a while, and he stood up against the regime, but you've always had that feeling that Rafa's always had the leverage. He's all because of his name, because of what he did at the club. But you can't really say Steve Bruce has that from day one. But for him to come out and say, "Look, I'm not this. I wouldn't have it any other way. If I'm coming in, the deals are with me and only me and my team." Like that, I think that's refreshing, because he's saying from day one, "Look, it's not Lee Charnley picking the players. Thank God. It's not Mike Ashley Mike Ashley's paying for the players, but he's not playing for them. Well, paying loosely is a loose term."
I think he got a little bit twitchy when he was asked that question about the media and the fans saying negative stuff about him, because I think he had to think before he was speaking there, and said, "Look, it's a load of nonsense what's being wrote about him." Look, I know he's had a difficult time personally in the last year, and losing his parents would be a horrible thing to go through. But for me, he's got no loyalty, and he's got to prove that he has that now. I don't want him to show that loyalty, because I don't really want Steve Bruce here.
Well, I don't see anybody else coming calling for him, do you?
This might be his last hurrah, because that's probably what he's looked at and thought, you know what, this is my, inverted commas, for people who can't see, home club, but it's a shot at the Premier League with a bigger name. Newcastle are not the top 6, probably not in the top 10 anymore. They're probably the next 10 after that, somewhere in that bracket. But he's probably looking and think, I've got this opportunity to a shot at the big time, so to speak. I'm going to give it me all. Yes, he's got to prove the doubters wrong. I think he spoke well, but he knows if we're sitting with 2 or 3 games with 0 points, he knows that the fans are coming for him.
He was chucking everything, wasn't he, though, into it. He was like Sir Bobby. He put his name in anything, the Geordie routes, anything he could try and get for just an ounce of deflection. But he's got to know, like I say, even before a ball's kicked, the tide is against him, and it's like, we're heading towards the iceberg. Can he get the Titanic moved around in time? And that's going to be the issue. He's not going to be given the grace that Rafa was given. No chance, whatsoever.
No, I think the fuses of many Newcastle fans is very short in that regard. But touching on what you said, Paul, he says he regrets turning down the job after Sir Bobby was sacked in 2004. He says it was his dad's team. I mean, it was very much expected for him to say, "Look, it's me hometown club," and everything like that. But it's stuck with him a while, and he's finally got the chance to prove that right, as in a sense. So again, touching on to the pros and cons of Steve Bruce, I suppose there's a want for that job, and with the way the circumstances are with the owner and the lack of transfers, Lee Charnley, the fans divided, everything like that, not many people are wanting this job. So you could say Steve Bruce wanting this job is a good thing. I mean,
I don't think he cares that he was 10th, 11th, 12th, 50th choice. He's got his dream.
We'll know that the video came out today from I think it's Dan Fairley, the one that does the impressions, that I was the first choice, apart from Arteta, Lampard, Gerrard,
and Deck.
But apart from them, I am the very first choice, and I was always wanted.
It's on our Facebook page.
Yeah, it's on our Facebook page. Check it out. But in terms of other players backing him, and Zobby, as I said before, but John Carver's chucked his 50 pence in as well in the backing of Steve Bruce. Best coach in the league. So
there's the kiss of death.
I think he was just trying to get a job on his coaching stuff, mate. But not only that, he always came out with the defence of him. He's been covering the Asian Cup games on Sky Sports, and
but he's part of the payroll. He has to.
He's been backing Steve Bruce to the hilt, even though he is the lone manager of Newcastle United now. So you can't really say anything bad about him. But he's also been backing him to the hilt. But the one that really interested me on this one was John Joe Shelby. He came out and he's like, we need to move on from Rafa.
It's what he said about Rafa, really.
Exactly. A very sour taste in the mouth, I think Shelvey has. I think it's a point of proof for Shelvey as well, because let's admit it, under the 3 years that Rafa was here, he didn't really get an opportunity under him, did he? He didn't get a run in the team. He was written off constantly. So it's a chance for John Shelvey to really prove it, and he's even in the friendlies he's been given like that creative freedom, hasn't he, to pass the ball and whatnot. So Shelvey's calling for Newcastle fans to move on from Rafa Benitez, as has Jamal Lascelles. I mean, what do you think of Shelvey's
it's interesting.
Rafa?
I was very interested. Like, ooh, this is gold, does this? Because you don't see many people say bad of Rafa Benitez, and Orlando Aarons did as well. He's the second one who spoke out about it. So Shelvey, for me, when I was like, ooh, that's a bit surprising, because we all thought that, you know, they both loved each other. Yes, I know he didn't play many games, in particular second half of the season, but it's a chance for everybody again. Reserves, under 23s, first team, people come back from loan. It's a chance to impress. I know it's to take Steve Bruce aside from one sense, but it's a chance to impress your new boss, and those that weren't playing, like Orlando Aarons, like John Joe Shelvey, possibly to some extent Kieran Clark's another one as well. This is their chance to impress Steve Bruce, and he's got to say the right things if a camera's been shoved right in front of him.
He hasn't said anything, but you know for a fact Jack Colback's happy to see the back of Rafa Benitez, don't you? Because he's playing football again, and he's literally the term forgotten man. But before wrap up,
he's like a new signing, isn't he, Carl? There we go.
Like
Newcastle signing.
Actually, one thing that I forgot to cover on Steve Bruce's press conferences, he used that term, get it over the line.
Yeah.
I went into a state of shock, deja vu from Alan Porter.
He didn't help himself with that, because he was like, people calling him a puppet and stuff like that, and he's coming out with like Newcastle puppet sort of lines, and you could have had Keith Bishop and something behind him.
Yeah, but before we wrap up the break, if you've noticed from social media over the past week or so, the stadium's undergoing some changes. What do you think of that?
Have a look at his screens right now. Go on, Rob.
Oops. Last year I remember we did a video where we was basically saying, you know, St James's Park, it needs a lick of paint to sort of, you know, increase the value. I watch a lot of property programs. Well, not a lot, but I do like property programs. And they say, oh, a lick of paint, and it would add value to it. And we were saying that because there's several places around St James's Park that needs a bit of a tidy up. But then when you think about it on the other side of the coin, it's like, where's the money gone? Where's the money gone? And,
it's gone on some paint, Rob.
Yeah, paint for Jose Perez.
Fixing a few puddles here and there.
It's not quite...
some steps has gone on as well. You seen the new steps? Outside the Milburn.
It's tragedy, isn't it?
Outside the Milburn. They've redecorated that there. Ooh, that's probably cost them about $1,000, maybe $2,000. Way.
Gonna play up front, this paint.
Don't worry, Mike Ashley's flying up now to fire the person that authorised those improvements to the stadium. We wouldn't normally be spending anything on steps and stuff like that.
I mean, for all the negativity this summer's brung, I suppose seeing a touch of paint on the ground, making it look a bit more modern.
Does look better.
It does look much better. The players' entrance looks sweet as well. So yeah, I think it's a positive. I mean,
just need some players to walk up them steps.
Yeah,
do you know what I would like to say? And it makes Goodison Park look so much better, because Goodison Park is horrible outside and inside.
To go there next season.
But what they've done is they've got classic players, modern players going all the way around their ground, and it just brings the stadium to life. It's got a bit of colour, considering that's an old style stadium which hasn't really had massive amount of improvement. I like that, mate. It brings a bit of nostalgia back.
The players around the ground looks great, but the ground...
You know, you've got like Dixie Dean, you know, you've got Tony Cotty and all that.
Even Spennymoor Town have done that, man. They're probably copied Everton at that behind the times. They probably copied Spennymoor.
Man City have done it. I like that, mate. You know, but Mike Ashley with relationship.
Can you imagine Mike Williamson, Carl Court, and the likes?
He would put them up.
He would, wouldn't he? Just to sort of
Daniel Cordoni, let's stick him up.
David Sakuna.
Danny Guthrie kind of be a first man from a corner.
He would do that though. If he was going to do it, he would put players like that up rather than Shearers and stuff. Can you imagine him putting a Shearer one up? I can't.
He doesn't like Alan, does he?
Doesn't like Shea Given either.
I mean, Shearer's one of the few pundits that came out and said against Steve Bruce, no, don't take the job, because as we know, Shearer and Bruce are like best mates. But like, yeah, it's he's
another one he name dropped as well in his press conference. Shearer, Bobby, and all this. Yeah, best mates, friends.
But yeah, that's the end of part 2 of the football fan zone here on Nova Radio North East. And yeah, speak to you in a few. to the football fans on our Nova Radio North East 102.5, as well as on our Newcastle Fans TV, streamed live on YouTube and Facebook as well as Twitter and everything else.
Twitch, Periscope.
Yep, everything. I'm your host, Kyle Thompson, and I'm joined by Lee Lawler, Paul Rutter, and Rob Spirrell.
Thanks for getting it right, Kyle.
Yeah, it was Spirrell a couple of weeks ago, but bear with us. So, on tonight's show, we'll be discussing all things Newcastle United, what's been a mad week. Up next, we're reviewing the Asia Cup. We're actually going to be talking about football, lads.
Yes.
It's all good. Between Newcastle
Hallelujah.
Wolves, which wasn't so good, and Newcastle West Ham, which was a positive. But part 4 is going to be Newcastle's transfer business, and part 5 is Newcastle's upcoming games: Preston, Hibs, and St Etienne. But yeah, lads, on to speaking about football. It's none of the politics, none of the Steve Bruce. It's all good for once. We're going to be speaking about football, but unfortunately, it's not going to be all positive because we're touching on the Newcastle Wolves game first, and that made me wish football was still away for a long, long time.
That was like anti-football, wasn't it? And I'll say it better than I said it before, but it was like walking in on your parents. It was absolutely wrong in every sense of the every sense of the word. Disturbing, awful, and I tried to erase it from my memory in my mind.
Yeah, well, sorry, Paul, but we're going to have to talk about it for the next 10 minutes or so. But what concerned me was Johnny brought it up in our Facebook chat, the starting lineup, which was Carl Darlow, Jamie Sterry, Jamal Lascelles, Kieran Clark, Arthur Lazar, Isaac Hayden, John Joe Shelby, Jack Colback, Jacob Murphy, Matt Ritchie, and Yoshinori Mutu. 9 of those players that started in that lineup actually played in the Championship the year we got promoted. Obviously, you could say Jacob Murphy signed the summer off, but he still played in the Championship for Norwich City. So, for me, do you think that's a concern going into the season, considering that is now 3 seasons ago?
It is, because we're going back to squad depth, because after you're starting 11, what's next? And the majority of them, probably you take 3 of them out, Shelby, Ritchie and Lascelles are regular starters from next season, you would say. Definitely Shelby will be. The rest are all squad players, no disrespect to them. They're not going to take you to that next level, as we always talk about, but we do know that obviously we've got a lot of players coming back. You know, Lejeune, Yedlin, Almiron, Save, Henri Save, everyone. Yeah, him, everyone. Who also missed? Christian Atsu is missing as well. Dwight Gale, Paul Dummett. So there's still a lot to come back. However, even then, when you bring them back, your bench for me it's still weak because you don't want to be. No disrespect to him, I don't want to be relying on Christian Atsu this summer. I know you love him, but
Oh yeah.
When I say you, everyone who's listening, Paul, it's got a thing for Christian Atsu, but. Yeah, we need strengthening. I'm sure we'll talk about transfers later, but it's very concerning.
Yeah, indeed. But onto the football, and that first half, we're 3-0 down in 40 minutes. I mean,
hello, Ashraf.
I mean, absolutely abysmal.
Head's gone. Oh my word.
I don't want to pick out a couple of players, but that defence in the first half was awful. And 2, there's an image that's on screen right now that I can see. It's like Arthur Lazar is not even in the same postcode as his position.
What is he doing?
No, he's a Grantland model, man. He's not a footballer. I'm not having it. He's a catalogue model.
Honestly, he was close at left back. He was about as close to left back as I was, and I'm halfway across the world at this point in time. So it was just abysmal. Like the first half, I didn't miss football after that. I was thinking of turning it off and just going back to bed because I had to get up early to watch this crap, and then you have Steve Bruce appointed the hour before. Well,
it was 11 actually, Rob.
Well, 11, yeah.
Well, 11 o'clock kickoff. It was the West Ham game. That was the 10. My apologies, but
that would be absolutely late in for some of us who've got children.
It's early for me, Kyle.
Yeah.
Different parts of everyone's life here on Newcastle Fans TV. I'm a student. Rob's a student.
Yeah, but I don't wake up at 10. I woke up at about 7.
Yeah, but you get up
7 out. Wow. If it's my day off, I don't get up to midday, mate. That's it for me.
You get up and run to Manchester and back just for the sake of it. Like, I don't, I sleep. So, like, and
I was actually going to go for a run tomorrow as well, as soon as I wake up.
Run to MK Dons and back just for the
See, I wish I had time to do stuff like runs and stuff.
And
but unfortunately, it's self-employed. And
Rob could be a ground hopper. Literally, you can, instead of having to hop, you can run.
Yeah, I quite like that.
Self-employed
anyway,
kids and wife take all my time up.
Back on topic.
Back on topic though, I mean, what we've just talked about with like Rob running MK Dons is probably more entertaining than that first half was because it was absolutely shambolic. I mean, we came into the second half, a couple of changes were made, and thought there was a little bit of an improvement, but we didn't really show much. I think Wolves, thinking about the Europa League game they've got next week, thinking about Manchester City already, we had one or two chances, but other than that, I just think it was Wolves dominating.
Just take that in. Wolves in the Europa League. And we're like thinking about trying to save fourth bottom.
I mean, looking at the Wolves team, they've got a couple of decent players there. That Morgan Gibbs-White, I think he's 19 years old.
I've said he'll play for England.
He looks really, really good.
Jota.
They've got that Jota. They've got Jota as well. I'm trying to think.
Raul Jimenez, who didn't even play.
He's got Jack Colt. No, Jack Colt backs hours.
Ruben Neves, he'll play for a big side.
But towards the end of the game, the corner goes in, and youngster Tom Allen scores an own goal from the header. And honestly, I feel so sorry for him because he came on. He was really direct. He tried to make things happen. His work ethic was there, and I think he did a tackle which was absolutely. It was one of the best tackles I've ever seen, especially for a friendly where he got the ball perfectly and from the scoring own goal. I just hope it doesn't destroy his confidence because the chance is definitely there for him, and I really hope he can kick on because from what I've seen, keep your chin up, mate, because I'm really impressed. But speaking of players that have impressed, I know it's going to be a very sparse, very thin list, but who actually impressed us against Wolves? Is there any youngsters?
I mean, Paul, anybody? No, that's been a little bit. First off, as you say, it was disaster. Ashraf Lazar, in particular, we're picking on him, rightly so, because he's a fault.
Is there anyone else to pick on? Because
well, you've got to say Hayden. You've got to see Hayden giving the ball away.
Yeah.
I mean, that's poor.
That was.
And then Carl Dollo was just flapping. Jamie Sterry maybe for the first goal. Lascelles is getting pulled out of position.
Jamie Sterry for the second goal with Lazar in a different postcode. Like honestly, that really poor defending for all three goals. But
the entire defensive unit, something that we were like well known for last year, was having a strong defensive unit. Well, then you go against Wolves and you just like literally first game post Rafa, throw it out the window.
Newcastle have always been known for having a shocking defence. Under the Rafa era, we'll call it. We had a really strong defence. Now the old Newcastle starting to prop up, and you see Lazar on the wrong side of the field, Lascelles on the wrong side of the field, and
it was like watching Bambi, wasn't it, when he was the first born? And it's just like he was like all over as if he'd never played a game of football in his.
Did Bambi's mum get like killed, shot?
I'd take a free transfer at the moment. Just pay his contract off.
Don't say free transfer.
Poor Bambi, eh?
Not with our own.
Poor mother.
If you have free transfer,
well, he might have an heart attack. You never know.
Never mind the free transfers. Poor Bambi. the poor thing got shot. His mum got shot.
To be fair, Bambi playing in that defence would have been better than the shape was absolutely awful.
Could have done
and
with thump
Darlow as well. He did really good at kicking sort of prior to leaving the country, but when he got to China, his kicking all of a sudden for some reason didn't work.
The one player that actually impressed me against Wolves was Rolando Aarons. Actually, he came
There's a couple of them weren't
there. He looked bright. He looked on it, and he looked ready to impress. Another one was Matty Longstaff as well. I thought he looked really comfortable with passing on the ball, which it's going to be a big pre-season for him. We'll know that because he wants to be a part of the first team with his brother Sean. But those were the players that impressed.
I think Sorensen did all right. I think we got a bit bright. I didn't think we did much.
When he came on, he did more in that cameo than what
that touch and the run. And I thought he could have got the shot away, but
Mutu can't play in the one. You cannot.
No.
Because you need someone to hold the ball up, and he can't do that.
I felt sorry for him, because he was so isolated.
He's just a passenger, wasn't he?
He was just there. He took the ball down a couple of times that he managed to win, and honestly, it was 40 yards where between him and the next player. Like, what's he going to do? He's the smallest bloke on the field for a start, so he's not going to win many. So even if he does win anything, then what? What happens? Is he just going to take the ball down, do Lionel Messi run for
the biggest thing I took from the game was that Ben Dawson went, if it was his decision, which I'm assuming it was, and he went with 4 at the back, and we looked all over the place. I know we got a slightly improved second half.
We moved to the 5 in the second half, didn't we?
But we just, I'm sure we'll go on to the next game shortly, but we looked very, very nervous, and this is. Everyone's saying this is a strong Wolves side. It's not. Look at all the kids who came on for Wolves. I haven't even heard of none of them. So I'm sure Wolves fans haven't heard of our kids either. But
lots of comments on about Darlow, mind, for the Newcastle Fans TV chat. Just Darlow's really, really poor. Does anybody even rate Darlow? What is a Darlow? What is it? Literally, he is getting a lot of it. Him and Lazar are really, really getting it in the comments,
See,
and it's to me, it's fair. You know, they've had the opportunity after opportunity, and they're not good enough. But the only reason we keep hold of them is because
one for you.
we can't get anybody in.
Kenny says there's a guy in Morpeth saying Dollar hasn't got a good kick.
Well, there's always one, isn't there?
In the Championship, I thought his distribution left a lot of people saying.
I think I was at the pizza shop as well. His distribution wasn't too bad, was it?
But
allegedly.
I don't think there's also going to be having any interviews on Newcastle Fans TV anytime soon with how much Lee Lawler loves him. And
no, you just get off Instagram, man. Pose. That's all he is.
Never mind Instagram. Just learn how to be a left back.
He's got about 7-8 posts per day. All of this constantly.
It was like Torval and Dean. It was like Torval and Dean. Yeah, literally at the back. It's just like Torval and Dean just dancing around, dancing on ice. He's not good enough. He never will be good enough. He was, like you said before about average players at Sheffield Wednesday. That is exactly it. So just let him go back to Sheffield Wednesday. Let him go anywhere else but Newcastle. He's not good enough.
Sunderland? Sunderland title?
I'd put this way. I'd pick him up and take him down the A19 myself.
To be fair, I think Oviedo's a better left back than Lazar is, so I don't even think Sunderland would take him. But on the more positive things, Newcastle played in the fourth place playoff in the most pointless friendly of all time for the biggest trophy in
for the wooden
our
spoon.
history. For the battle not to be wooden spoon. I'm sure the Six Nations have it every year in the rugby, so we had won in the form of the Asian Cup. But the starting 11 for this one was Martin Dubravka, Sterry, Shaw, Lascelles, Clark, Ritchie, Colbeck, Hayden, Shelby, Mutu, Ali, Sorensen. Which the first thing I thought of straight away was he's playing a 5 at the back system, which I think seemed to work. Playing 2 up top as well. Yoshinori Mutu and Sorensen I thought worked really well together. Mutu had a great energy about him for a good striker to play off of him. So maybe Joelinton, who we'll talk about later, he could play up front with Mutu and make a go of it. And you've got like Almiron and that to come through as well in the midfield.
Sheffield Wednesday formation, that as well. It's a tweak on the Rafa formation, but Sheffield Wednesday played a lot like that.
Yeah.
And he probably wants to go into a formation that he feels comfortable with,
yeah.
and then seeing if the players are going to fit into that. Because he's going to want to put his own stamp on things, because he's going to want to stop referring to Rafa all the time and stuff.
Yeah.
He's only going to do that by making some big calls himself and hopefully getting them right, getting results, and taking some pressure off himself. To be honest,
I think it's actually quite brave to go back to the old manager's back 5 system. I know he's changed at midfield because Rafa played the 2 holding, whereas Bruce went with 3 and then the 2 up top. But to go back to, I've said this on videos, that I think it's a brave thing to do. Because it would have been so easy just to change it. It's my way, there's no way. But he realises, Bruce, and this is the credit what you have to give him, that he's realised that, wait a minute, Newcastle will build on a strong defence. Let's build on from that. And hopefully, I'm sure he'll touch upon later, Preston came and, saying at the end and so on that he maybe plays 5 at the back would be intriguing. But yeah, I would agree, it's a good thing. And starting 2 up top, very surprised.
Well, it is. As you've said, it's a little bit of a tweak and he's wanting to try and get rid of the thought of Rafa in the back of everybody's head. But to be honest, mate, the only way he's actually going to make people forget about Rafa is if he wins games with this formation. If he loses them, it'll be like, you're trying to copy off Rafa's formation, add a little tweak, and it's not working. Why is it not working? Because you're an neck. That's what they'd say to him if you're losing games. But on to more positive, we played West Ham in the 3rd and 4th playoff and we actually won. We won a game of football. So after losing 4-0 to Wolves in the Asian Cup, we'll go and beat West Ham. So it's quite a roller coaster, as it always is with Newcastle. And I thought it was a much better performance. Was there any players in particular that impressed you, Spring?
I tell you what I liked though, the 1-2 that he played off Noble. Noble's one of them players that really, that was class. That by Longstaff, love that moment.
Do you reckon Sean meant it? Because I do.
Oh yeah, I hope so.
It was a good one too, But did anyone impress you in this game?
I think we all are quite unanimous on who impressed us the most, aren't we?
Mm. Well, the people that impressed me the most on screen, the little Geordie Samurais, I called them at Old Trafford last season, and I'll continue to do so since me big beautiful mans went to China. The little Geordie Samurai, Yoshinori Mutu, a brilliant ball from Jamie Sterry, mind. I mean, I've written
Ryan Taylor-esque, isn't it?
I've written off on this channel before, and I've said, look, maybe it's time to move him on, because if you haven't had a chance yet with the poor quality at right back that we're having, Yedlin and Manquillo, not to get a chance in the Premier League yet. It's like maybe it's time to move you on. But in this game at right wing back, I think he looked reborn. He looked very comfortable. He passed forward. He looked for Shelvey when he was on the ball on the right, and he's crossing. It wasn't the only cross of the day that he had that was successful. He had a couple that only just missed centre forward's head as well. So that the crossing from Sterry, and it's a difficult one to put away. It's not easy. Alive Sorensen had a chance earlier in the half where it bounced up in front of him.
The pitch was awful, wasn't it?
The conditions were really bad on the pitch. But Mutu used his experience. He took the ball on the bounce and put it to the left of Fabianski, and it was a brilliant finish.
He scores decent goals. I mean, you said about the Man United one, and then this one also as well. He doesn't like to score tap-ins by the looks of it.
No.
He needs that extra person up front, and the difference, it was like night and day. We had to play him because who else are we going to play up top? But absolutely cracking finish, great cross, Ryan Taylor-esque. And maybe if he's playing in that right wing-back role as opposed to a right-back role, some of the defensive duties
gives
are...
him a bit more to move forward.
So that might be better for him, because I think same with Yedlin, going forward is alright, but it's that concentration, that defensive nous that maybe they lack. So maybe that's a formation that works for him.
To be fair, going forward, Yedlin's got a lot of pace, but I haven't seen him whip the ball in like that.
No.
In the couple of years that Yedlin's been, he's very, very athletic. Can be a good defender on his day, but I've never seen him whipping a ball like that.
That's right. I've heard as soon as he was doing it, it was Ryan Taylor-esque. He used to do it really well. Great cross, and it was the cross that made the goal.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it was very, very brave to start Sorensen, but you should have scored. Let's not kid ourselves.
Though Gale is injured, so
you might not have played like the two up top, because you could have went with yeah, that's got that trending. You could have went 5-4-1, but you went the two up top. It was brave. Sorensen, I think you should have scored, but it's the first time really that he's been given a chance, and he ran the channels well. But obviously Mutu's the one who's going to shine. But there was loads. You mentioned Jamie Sterry was absolutely fantastic, but I actually thought, although his passing wasn't great, I thought Shelvey actually looked like the Shelvey of old. He wanted the ball, give me it. I'm going to prove. Yeah, that's what it was. And
he ran the game at times, even though I thought his long range passing was a bit off.
That's what I mean. He wanted it. You could give me it, I'll do it.
I thought the desire was there. And
spot on.
By the time the season comes through, you'd think his passing's going to be...
It's like he's been unleashed, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know, like where before it was very regimented with Rafa. Maybe the reins have been let off a little bit, and him and Shah spraying those Hollywood balls all over left, right and centre.
June when he comes back.
June as well. So there's lots there that we can maybe take the defensive shackles off.
That may be where
a little bit.
Is.
That could be definitely.
I like the fact that he played Shelvey in a 3, because Rafa wouldn't risk it. Never done it except once, where I think we were trying to win the game, and he brought on 3 midfield. Shelvey in a 3 looked a lot better with Cole, and I'm Jack Colback, but with Colback and Hayden there, it gave Shelvey, I am the creative one, give me it.
It's going to be long stuff going forward, isn't it? Let's be honest.
But you want to have, it's something that he wants to again look at going at Preston, that maybe keep Shelvey in that 3 as well. So hopefully it does, because it looked a lot more promising. It looked like him of old.
It does, but then when you start to think about Joelinton and Almiron,
you need options.
Yeah, you need options, but it's like you've got to think Almiron is going to be starting. Joelinton, if we're spending 30 to 50 million pound on him, he's going to be starting.
Yeah,
so it's then how do you fit and accommodate? Obviously, do you just play Shelvey and Longstaff? Some big calls. We still don't know about Hayden. Nothing's been answered. Hopefully, when this presser comes out next week with Bruce in, these questions are going to be answered, because the fans deserve and demand some answers finally.
It's been a very no comment type of summer, hasn't it? But is there anybody else that impressed us in the West Ham game? Because I'm going to go out on a limb. I think the comment section could lynch us up. But I honestly think Jack Colback played well. I really do.
What?
I forgot.
Taxi for Kyle.
I forgot how aggressive he was in making needless fouls.
Yeah, that's the thing I picked on.
Very needless, and he'll probably get booking after booking in the Premier League. But in terms of what he gives you, he gives you a bit of greatness in the midfield, and if we're in the bottom, if we're going to be fighting to stay up,
Rob's not so keen.
Is it the type of greatness is his we're going to need? I don't know. I mean, I'm not making a point for Colback to play every week. I'm just saying.
Sounds like you're.
I'm just saying he played well against West
Hashtag,
Ham.
let's get it trending in the comments. Kyle out. Kyle out.
I mean, I think.
Hashtag Kyle out, everyone.
I think he played well, but if people want to disagree with us, please let us know in the comments. I'm sure the three lads will let us know.
I'm sure Rob's about to let you know he's waiting for you to say.
Go on, Rob, let us know. What do you disagree with us?
No. Well, what I do disagree with is that I've got the live stream up in front of me, and I noticed on that.
Oh, we hired Kyle out of you.
You've got Kyle out.
Lee, you've written the words "would of." It's "would have," right?
Oh,
it's
goodness.
All the grammar police.
The people.
You know, when I worked in the school, I wasn't this bad. With the grammar police and all this.
Hashtag Rob out. Hashtag Rob out.
No, I've spoke positively about a player that nobody likes, so it's going to be Kyle out's going to be trending.
Oh, it's trending.
How many comments have we got?
We've got 2 or 3 now.
Coming through now.
I mean, yeah, go for it. If you just want to slate it, slate
Oh,
it. But
you've got somebody sticking up. Jason, basically on the chat, I agree. Callback played well.
just Jason. What,
Yeah.
I mean, Team Kyle and Kyle out. Which one we're going to
Probably related to Jack Callback somewhere along the line.
I'm not. Let's just get that out there straight away. I'm not related to Jack Callback.
Oh.
I'm not his mate. I don't know him. I wasn't out last week with him.
Where's he from?
Shelby and
Killenworth?
Darlow. I mean, no, I wasn't out with them lot, but yeah.
Carl's family were getting ready to lock him out tonight if he was saying he's related to Callback.
I'm not getting it after that one. But yeah, I think Callback played all right. I mean, not only that, I think Lascelles had a solid game as well. I think Shaw, the talk was before the game that he's going in. If he doesn't play, he's going in. He played. He had a couple of really good passes.
I think West Ham, though, they made it easy and they stood off us.
Especially in the first
half.
Yeah. Second half, the negative out of that is the way the team ended. The got it on screen. That is the team that actually ended. And you've got 2 wingers up top, and that's where it links into transfers, which we'll talk about later, but would desperately need a creative midfielder who's going to score goals. A couple of fullbacks.
I'm sure there's a little Paraguayan that would object to what you're saying.
I would like to see Almiron given the role in the 10, because Rob spoke about this in the Copa America. He was absolutely sensational. But that team that ends there, that's not great. I know there's injuries, I know it's pre-season, but that's a bit of a worry.
I think if you had Mutu playing alongside Joelinton and Almiron, I mean, that is a free behind a central striker.
It's dangerous.
It's a dangerous one.
Especially with the defending behind them, that'll be there. But going on to the second half, Lee has mentioned just there that West Ham made it easy for in the first half. They didn't pressure much, and that's one thing they did do credit to them in the second half. They came out, they wanted to play, but I think the ball, except from them hitting the ball from a corner from Felipe Anderson, I really don't think West Ham have had much, and I think we defended really well.
Yeah, even the likes of the Declan Rice and that. I mean, he didn't have a great game.
Don't mention Declan Rice, for God's sake.
Noble and all them you would expect, to be honest. They weren't exactly fantastic, and these are a team who've spent money.
Well, I just bought Haller, haven't they?
Yeah, so you know.
Yeah. Anyway, there's an interesting question in the comments on the stream. It's long gone now, but we were talking about Elias Sorensen earlier. Would you be open to having Sorensen on the bench?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. I mean, we've just got rid of Joslu, who we'll touch on to later. But I think Elias Sorensen should get the chance. He's quick. He's got a good touch. He should have scored in the first half against West Ham, but you know it is inexperienced, but very raw, very quick. And I think honestly, he could get a couple of goals and really threaten defences with his pace and pace.
Yeah, he's already with the under-21s, isn't he, for his national setup? So clearly they're rating him highly. Yeah, he's got a great accent, and he looks the part.
Even if you remember back in the days when we had Gabriel Obertan on the right, as dreadful as he was, there was still some teams that were absolutely.
I saw him in Idols once, you know.
When Lee going the days of clubbing with his debatable hair.
Gabriel Obertan was standing there. He's just signed for Newcastle, and he had a vodka Red Bull, like a double vodka Red Bull, and he was standing there in Idols, all on his own, just standing there, gormless. And
that's what he did for his entire Newcastle career. To be honest, he just stood there looking at me.
Nobody knew who he was. Nobody was going up to him, like, give us a photo. And nobody knew. Everyone just jumped around like Radgies as they were in that bar. But there you can, Gabriel Obertan.
Yeah, fun fact. I mean, I took my nephew to his first game in 2014. I think.
Don't say he scored the winner.
In Gabriel Obertan.
Oh, Leicester.
Yeah. that was my nephew's first game. So whenever I ask him, who scored the winning goal in your first game, son? Gabriel Obertan. It's so depressing. Like, if you're watching Harry, I'm sorry.
Could be worse. Could be Des Hamilton.
Hull
Cheer
City.
up. Yeah.
Ian Rush.
Mine was Shola Miobi, as it happens. Norwich in the League Cup 2004, second round. But just to finish off the West Ham game, I thought we're seeing them out quite comfortably. I don't think they offered anything in terms of going forward.
Just touch upon that. Is the NE29 postcode, lads?
Yeah, I was just about to bring that up before I go to the summary of both games. Both Longstaff brothers gone together, and I'm sure that'll be on the mantelpiece somewhere in the Longstaff household
What a
for
moment.
a long time to come, and it's really nice to see. I mean, a couple of years ago we were talking about Sammy and Shola together, but it's not as it's very underwhelming, isn't it, in comparison to the potential we'll have with the two Longstaff brothers. I mean, you've got Sean Longstaff, who's been linked with Man United all summer, so just the fact that we've got to see these two play together, we're very grateful for, because half the summer have been in the mindset of
we need to get rid of some players. We need to get rid of some of the players
The fringe.
who are in their road. You know, Matty Longstaff, I would have him
Above Jack Colback?
Yeah, easily. And he did. Get rid of Colback.
We're literally about to touch on that, actually, between in a summary that I've got. Was the Asian Cup good for them? Like, did you enjoy the Asian Cup experience?
I think it's good to get them in shape, because they would have lost a shed loads of weight.
I know Rafa wasn't happy when it was announced.
Well, it's a money-making exercise, we know that. But I think
know you weren't either, because you wanted to go over to Ireland.
We were going to go Ireland as a channel.
Johnny's going next week, isn't he?
Yeah, we were going to go, but I think they would have lost a lot of weight. I think that's only positive. I think it's tell a lie. The second positive is that the under-23 lads got to be involved in a first-team environment, but also credit to Ben Dawson, because he said in an interview at Sky that he was absolutely bricking it. He was nervous, he was excited to take first team, because let's not forget, he's a lad who's one of us and doesn't really have a big, what's the word I'm looking for, persona in football. Nobody knows who he is. He's came from the foundation and then he's managing the likes of 80 grand footballers. So
did well in the under-23s last season.
Yeah, I think for him in his future, he's said on the Sky interview that it'll do him wonders, because he'll now learn going into the first team environment. But yeah, you've got to think that going forward, for me though, play five at the back with three in midfield with Shelby.
You've got to look at this over the two games. I've got a list of names, the fringe players / young players who win the under-23s last season. I'm just going to start through them, summarise them off both games. We'll start with Arthur Fazal. What did you think of him over the two games?
As Ariana Grande would say, thank you. Next.
Yes. Oxygen thief.
Rob?
Sorry, something came up on the computer. I was a little bit in two minds.
Lazar over the two games in Asia.
It's a no-go.
Yeah, it seems abysmal. Next, Jack Colback. Kyle out is coming up again.
Hashtag Kyle out. Hashtag Kyle out.
I'm going to say the first game he got overrun. The second game he played it.
It's not for me, because for me, if I had to pick her, I'd have Henri Xavier ahead of him.
That says everything. That says everything. That says how bad the situation is. Please,
could take a free kick.
Please, somebody, anybody, just take Jack Colback. Just take him. I don't care where. Just go.
We don't have any midfielders though. We're going to have none left. Henri Xavier, awful. Jack Colback, less awful.
I want Matty promoted into the first day squad.
Yeah. Colback probably.
Definitely.
Next name, Jacob Murphy. How do you think he fared?
Well, I think the kit man certainly could have done a better job.
I knew this was coming.
Can't spell. Rob's grammar, please.
I think it was.
I thought Spiro was bad enough, but Murphy,
Spino.
It's very difficult to get that name wrong.
I think with him, I don't think he's a Premier League footballer, unfortunately. However, the only place I think that'd be good for him is a wing back, possibly, because he's done well for England. That's the only thing. Yeah.
I think defensive.
But if you're not going to play him there, get rid. Sorry.
But, one thing I will say about Murphy is in the second game against West Ham, he came on. He was very direct, got forward, challenged Ogbonna.
Got final product.
Got past him a couple
End
of
product.
times.
Crossing,
I'd
passing,
like
shooting.
to see him feature in the next couple of games in pre-season and prove his worth, but other than that, he is up against it, I will admit.
Honestly, I think Carl Roberts was better.
Maybe
you know what I mean?
We did pay 12.5 million for Callum Roberts, did Paul.
Sadly.
Sadly. So, Yeah, on to the next one, which is Sean Longstaff's brother, Matty Longstaff. How do you think he fared over the couple of games?
I think he's done himself a world of good being in that first team environment. Needs a loan season. Needs to go out on loan and play competitive football all season. And I think that's what the club are going to do with him and Owen Bailey.
Do you reckon? Well, Owen Bailey was my next one after Matty Longstaff, so you kind of
So
you've either read the note or you've read my mind, Lee.
I'd have him on the bench. I'd have him in around the squad. I think he's got something.
He needs to play games, though.
Yeah, he does need to play games, but I would have him starting in the cup games. I would have him involved in the Premier League matchday squads, and then maybe address it in January to see what his game time and stuff's been looking at.
For me, I'd give Longstaff the rest of pre-season, and then I would go from there.
You've got a lovely chat comment there, Kyle.
Kyle,
let's be real, you must be on the brown ale. Last night, Jack
Mate,
Colback.
I don't drink, I swear down. I've never touched a drink in my life.
Not good enough for the Premier League. He's not saying that he's good for the Premier League, he's just saying that he had a good game.
I'm just saying he's an option.
I'll stick up with that.
I'm just saying he played well against West Ham and he could potentially be an option off the bench because he can play. He can play left back and he can play centre back.
I'm sure Sports Direct could use him somewhere. That's been kind.
Clean the toilets. But on to the next one. Kellen Watt, how do you think he fared? I think he only played in one of the games.
I think he struggled, didn't he?
He did struggle.
I want him to do well, but I think he's
Did he get clearance off the line?
Yeah, but he got skinned on the right on that.
He did. He got done for the turn of pace, but he recovered really well.
He did recover well, but another one will be buzzing to be even said on an interview with NUFC TV. But he needs to probably have either another loan or another season development.
I would say Callum Watts needs to go out on loan for sure.
Yeah.
The own goal scorer, Tom Allen. How do you think he's done? He only played that second half against Wolves.
Lively, but again, it's another one of these lads that needs now to move on to that next level. So he's very direct, and again, maybe.
I think the direction needs to go in is to infinity and beyond. Oh wait, that's Tim Allen, isn't it? Sorry.
Right.
Last one alive, Sorensen.
With Sorensen, you've got two options for me. You either make him. I think you need Joelinton, another striker, and then maybe him third or fourth choice if you are keeping Gale. At least if you're not going to loan him out, have him playing like Sean did with the first team squad. Even if he doesn't train, at least with the first team for the whole season.
I would have him involved and on the bench because Dwight Gale, for somebody who's coming back and trying to prove a point, he's just, and I've heard this, injured all the time, and I've heard that a lot of the time he reckons he's injured, yet every medical scan known to man says that he isn't injured. And I think he's got slightly the wrong attitude, so I'd be looking to shift Gale out, promote Sorensen, and Gale Tours. I know, what's the point of sending them like the other side of the world just so he can sit there doing...
well, you wouldn't
wish
turn
you were
it down.
here.
You wouldn't turn it down, would you? Actually, with the hotel I had, I would turn it down.
Yeah, next to the power station. Typical
Ashley,
that
by the by. But that wraps up this part of the show where we've spoken about the friendlies. In the next part of the show, we'll be talking about Newcastle's transfer business and what's been the busiest transfer week of the window for us so far. But see you in a couple of minutes.
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. see the horizon, turn us to thousands, and we'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands, and on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays, and on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust.
Feast on 102.5, as well as on our live stream, live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, everything. It's still all there, isn't it?
Yeah, 6 platforms.
6 platforms. I mean, nobody else is doing that these days, is it? On
It's
today's
really
show, we'll be
big.
discussing all things Newcastle United, what's been a mad week. Up next is Newcastle's transfer business, and on the last part of the show, which will be about 10 to 8, will be upcoming games in friendlies against Preston, Hibs and St Etienne. So, lads, transfer business, it's been the most eventful week of every week, because it's been very quiet up until this point. But since Steve Bruce was appointed, him even saying what active in the transfer market, the Joelinton deal, which is where we'll go to first, say it's all but done. I think the delay is very similar to what Dwight Gale's delay was when we announced the new home kit, because it took 3 or 4 days for it to announce him.
We just call it the Charnley factor.
The Charlie factor or
PR machine.
But yeah, I expect that to be announced tomorrow. I really do. What's Joelinton going to bring to the club? I mean, he's 22-year-old. In 127 career appearances, he scored 35 goals and has got 22 career assists as well. So that's equivalent to a contribution 1 every 2 games, just about. He can play as a centre forward. He can play just behind the striker or on the right.
I think he's Iose's replacement, isn't he? I think
I
that's
think
A
he is.
lot. The more people have researched and looked into him, the more people think he's Io's Perez's
Depends
replacement.
where Bruce is going to play him, because he's got the stature of Rondon,
Yeah,
so he looks like he can hold the ball up. But he's got
he's a lot
a lot
better
more.
than
Yeah,
Rondon,
he's got a lot turn. He got a better turn. He can move. So, but with Hoffenheim, they were scoring goals for fun. I looked at that, and the other 2 strikers,
Yeah,
Kramrich and Belfodil, were scoring just 31 between them, and that's 17 and 16.
But wasn't Joelinton played out wide there?
He was played several positions, so they played sometimes they played 1 up top. He never played 1 up top ever, but when there was a 2, he would play up top with somebody else.
Would you think he'd work well with Milton?
It's a possibility, little and large, isn't it? You know, it worked Shearer and Bellamy years ago, off the top of my head. But it's big money, whether it's installments.
36 million. It's
not really though, because if you think it's the Perez money, that's all it is.
The question is, which bank has been loaned from this
Not
time?
the extra
Is it-
6 million.
Is it Barclays as you went back there?
Season ticket holders.
But yes, 36 million is the touted fee, but I still think there's a mass amount of underwhelming. Do you know how in January, like when Almiron signed and there was so much hype, so much enthusiasm about him saying, I just don't have that with Joelinton. And
His captain spoke highly well of him the day.
did he?
His captain said that he's only using Newcastle as a stepping stone. That's quite a big thing to say about your teammates.
Yeah, but I think Mike Ashley and Lee Charnley are using him as well in the same way. They say, come in, use us as much as you want, and then we'll get
He'll
80
you
million for you.
move to Liverpool, your Man United.
Yeah, just like Wijnaldum and all these sorts of players. Before we used to market it as this was the destination. Rafa used to say this isn't a stepping stone, but I think the likes of Ashley, Charnley, Bishop are saying, yeah, come here, we can be a stepping stone onto Liverpool or Man United or Chelsea or whatever, and then they're just going to hopefully just rake some more money in.
I think what fans are concerned about, will it get done? I think that's what's not what can he do, can they get it done first?
I mean, journalists all over are saying it's done. Like,
Well, even the director of football, I spoke yesterday and said that there's a couple of things that need iron out. These take more than 24 hours. So,
especially with the lot in charge up here.
Yeah, well, look how long it took Florian Lejeune. And that's just one off the top of my
Trying
head.
to sort out his living arrangements. Which tent do you want to live in?
To be fair, with Lee Charney, Mrs. Charney must have to get up and dress him in the morning, tell him which shoe to put on which foot. You've probably got slip-ons.
Like Mr. Tumble.
Yeah.
But I think it's just a case. I do think it's got legs, this one, because it's all coming from their end. I know Newcastle are saying very quiet, shock, no comment.
Well, as usual with this radio show, everything usually happens the day after the show.
Well,
so usually we have to wait the whole week to talk about it. So, for example, last week Steve Bruce took charge, so we had to wait the whole week.
The only good thing that happened last week was Johnny and Will getting a little bit carried away because England had won the World Cup.
I use the term loosely because, to be fair, they're the only two cricket fans I know. Honestly,
Rob
loves these.
Rob's a huge cricket fan. Rob's probably a bigger cricket fan than them two.
I just can't trust a sport where it can take 5 days to play, and there's something that might not be a winner. I've lost interest a long time before that.
Rob, look at Rob, he's furious.
It just comes to a point where Newcastle's that bad at the minute. Members of our channel are turning to cricket. So please try and stick with where you can, because cricket is not the answer.
Yeah, main cow just like, alright.
Turn it on to a different. Turn on to Joelinton once again. Do you think he'll make the grade at Newcastle? Do you think he'll do well?
I think you've got to give him a chance to bet in, haven't you? It's a big money, and that's what's going to. As soon as he has a bad game, it's a load of rubbish. We've spent that much money, whatever. That's going to happen. We know that. Where's he going to play? Is he going to play up top? Is Bruce going to play 2 up top?
Well, it depends what he goes for. If he goes for the 4-2-3-1, that's where the questions are.
That's where he played with a lot with Hoffenheim.
If it's the 5-3-2, then he's probably going to be up top.
If it's the 4-3-2, because Hoffenheim were kept alternating their formation and players. I mean, Kramaric didn't even play up top every game either. So it's interesting that he's flexible. I think he'll come across as quite flamboyant as well. I know his goal scoring record isn't great.
He's Brazilian, isn't he?
But, well, look at his hair. I mean, he's got sweet corn on his head, so...
He's got sweet corn on his head, mate.
There's a picture on screen that looks like he's got sweet corn on his head. But I think it'd be flamboyant.
Looks a bit Shearer versus Blackburn, that, as well, doesn't it, do you think?
Yeah, it looks like the Shola celebration, if you can see it on your screen. But I think it'll be flamboyant. I think there might be a little bit of orthodox about him, maybe.
South American flair up top.
Possibly, but, he's huge. He's massive, so... Maybe he uses a target man. Who knows? It gives us ideas and a player that can play in a couple of positions.
It gives us something to look forward to, personally.
Positive to talk about.
Keeps other managers guessing.
It's nice and positive. For a summer of anguish and negativity, it's nice to talk about a striker coming in for a lot of money, something we've needed since Rondon's went to China, Perez went to Leicester. But moving on from the ingoings at Newcastle to the outgoings, Joselu left Newcastle to be the Paul's quite high.
Quite sad he's gone, really.
But yeah, Joselu out the door. I think the rumoured fee was €2 million.
Just need the issue everyone around you now.
Paul, I'll come to you first. What do you think of Joselu leaving the club?
Yeah, please tell us.
Your celebration.
Keep it clean. It was fantastic. To keep it clean, you know when they won the million on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire for the first time, you got the fireworks going up. It was much the same at my place. It's sort of up there for me with Mike Ashley leaving. I was over the moon. It is. It's probably second on the list. I want Mike Ashley to go, obviously, above anything else. But then Joselu, who was just... I suppose I need to play who crosses the white line for Newcastle United, but he's so limited. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's like comparing Smart Price chocolate to Lindt chocolatiers. He wasn't good enough. He never was good enough.
Depends if you're on a budget, if you like that chocolate.
Bob's Beans, Heinz Beans. I was quite pleased I said Bob's Beans there, nothing else. But no, he was never good enough. He was never good enough from Stokes reserves to Newcastle United.
But
no.
The one thing I want to say about Joselu, because
he's a nice guy.
He's not the greatest of footballers to ever play for Newcastle United. But the man behind the football, that true gent. Honestly,
I knew you were going to say that.
I know I've got to. I mean,
needs to be
you know
mentioned,
I was going to say that because you read me notes beforehand, because before the show.
It sounds like a word of his original advert now.
I know.
It's just like, no, he was an awful
So,
footballer.
first of all, Kyle's sticking up for call back, and now you're saying Hoslu's a nice guy. What's next?
He's trying to lynch us.
Are you trying to get Lazar into that first team?
I don't think I'll go that far, but what I will say is Joslu was a really nice lad. He had time for people.
It sounds like something off Love Island, Kyle. This.
I know, but you've got. Let's get this out.
But Steve Bruce is a lovely bloke as well.
Steve Bruce is a nice bloke, so I've heard. He's best mates with Shearer. God, you can't be friends with God if you
Alan, come on the show.
not a good person. But anyway, I'll stick off the man behind the footballer since I'm not allowed to mention his name. But 8 goals in 52 appearances wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. But
That's like a record of nearly 1 in 7.
yeah, 1 in 7. But look at the good times that he had. He had that performance against Swansea. Remember where we were 1-0 down? Gale had several misses, and then he came on as a sub in the second half, and he was brilliant.
I think Stone Cold said it better. What?
Or his goals against Spurs, Chelsea. I kind of go on long because it's Joslu, we know, but
Rob's a big fan.
what I'll do is I'll write the last word on Joslu will be great bloke behind the football, but ultimately not good enough to play for Newcastle United.
Adios.
So adios, Joslu. But before we go on to who we've been linked with over the past couple of days, Liam Gibson joined Grimsby on loan through the week. Great chance to impress for him. Left back, needs first team football. What do you think? Do you think he'll impress over there and maybe get a chance in Newcastle next season?
I think now is the time because he's starting to get on, isn't he?
Yeah.
This is 22-year-old. I know he's had a horrible illness, which he's recovered, thankfully. Look, all I can ask with the lad with the under-23s is to go out, go and get kicked, not literally, go and play a bit of men's competitive football in the lower leagues and learn your trade. And if you come back and you're ready for the first team, great. If you hit an age where you're saying, okay, sorry, you're not good enough, at least it gives him the chance to go and play and go and have a career, because now it's very similar to Cal Roberts when the club let him go. I think with Barlaser and Gibson, the 22, 23, now is the time to make the grade or let go. You can't keep loaning them out, so hopefully it goes on.
Chelsea do it.
It is a big ask for him to come from next year, just go straight in, but you know, we've got a problem at left back.
Indeed we do. And on to left back, Newcastle are linked with Danny Rose. The past couple of days, 15 million would take to bring him up here. He's said in the past that he would want to play in the north of England again. Is Danny Rose with?
What is it with Sunderland ex-players and managers?
Maybe, but Danny Rose.
Oh, you would take him in a heartbeat.
Not
Yeah.
gifted left back, brilliant. I mean, he probably asked for a lot of money to come here, but
He's a Leeds lad through and through, isn't he?
I mean, he'd be more than competition for Paul Dummett. So I
We
think
could switch Dummett back to his initial centre back position.
we've got about 50 centre backs as it is.
I know, but at the
I'd
same
imagine,
time, you
yeah.
don't want
Options, it gives you options.
You don't want to just sort of tell Dummett, yeah, we've got an improvement. Out you go. Sort
See you
of.
later, mate.
Yeah, see
Fair
you
enough.
later. Don't really want that.
I would have him at left wing back, and I would
Yeah, great
give it to
left wing
Kieran
back.
Clark, and then
He knows the area
yeah.
because he lived in Newcastle when he was playing for
Well, who
Sunderland.
was
Don't
it
they
over
all?
there, Lee? Come on.
So
Like Red Cobb and Sunderland, man. But other names
careful
that-
with your comments about that town.
there's nothing wrong with Red Cobb, man.
Nothing right for it either.
Bob being Chernobyl in disguise. But other players that we've been linked with, McNeil from Burnley, winger. The Sun linked the lad with Newcastle today. It would take up to 30 million to bring this lad in.
Nah.
I mean, from the back end of last season, where I've seen the lad play, he's very direct. He's got a good cross on him, very quick. But I think 30 million for him is a bit of a tall order. I don't think Newcastle will go there.
He's not proven yet. He's still got
And
potential.
he's not proven, very raw. It's a double-edged sword, really, because we're saying the same about Sean Longstaff on Man United. So I wouldn't go for McNeil at this time. The other one that's been linked is Ben Davis from Preston, centre back.
We've got
Nah,
him
it's
to
not
the
happening.
Centre
If we're going to be linked with any centre back, I thought it would be Alex Bruce, if I'm honest. So,
No, he's got a club in Scotland now, thankfully.
so thankfully, we don't need to go back for Alex Bruce. But I don't think it makes sense to go and get Ben Davis from Preston.
No.
Although he is a solid option, I don't think he's any better than what we've got personally. The big one is Andy Carroll.
Hello, Chronicle.
The free agent. That is, as soon as we knew he wasn't renewing his contract at West Ham, we knew the floodstorm of Andy Carroll coming back. And to be honest, if it's going to happen, it'll happen this summer because Steve Bruce likes players of Andy Carroll's like stature and
get him on as a pay-as-you-play sort of deal at the moment.
As I'm going to argue, if we can get Andy Carroll on a pay-as-you-play contract and as a replacement for Jocelyn, you wouldn't say no to it. Like 5 minutes to go, you're 1-0 down, or you're 1-0 up, and you're trying to defend from corners. Andy Carroll's
you never know. You might start him.
He's like what 6'6". He's decent height, good in the air, and honestly, I still think he's got a great header of the ball. Yes, he's
the best header in the league.
One of the best.
I think he's the best.
Good hold-up play as well, and plus he's been wanting to come to Newcastle, back to Newcastle now for years.
True story about Andy Carroll. So I'll give you another one. I saw Andy.
Did you meet him in a nightclub?
I did actually. I did. Do you know the night he was arrested? I was there.
You were there.
I was there, and he actually headbutted someone as well in Blue Bamboo. There you go.
Knowledge from law there, but
I haven't got any more.
You run out with nightclub stories.
I think
ones you can put in the air.
The ones that you can put in the air.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I had a few Geordie Shawlass's ones on there, but no. Well,
we're back on to who Newcastle are linked with because I want to get as far away from Geordie Shaw as humanly possible.
Yeah. Don't we all?
We've been linked with Danny Welbeck, and this is one of the free agents that I'd happily go for because he can play on the left. He's got a great work rate. He can play up front. Used to play for Sunderland, so he ticks all the boxes. So, would you take him back? Take him back. I'm looking at my notes and looking at James Tavernier coming up, so that's why I've said that. Danny Welbeck, would you take him?
Yes.
Yeah, easy. No brainer.
Easy. In several positions.
Yeah, I would.
So, on to James Tavernier. Shock. Potentially coming back. He wasn't given a chance under Pardew at Newcastle. He got sent out to Rangers as part of the 5 loanees that went in as part of Mike Ashley going in, like Bigger Imana, people like that went to
Kevin
Rangers. And then they kept on James Tavernier because his contract ran out with Newcastle, and ever since then he's been like the top goal scorer in that, hasn't he? He stayed on with them when they just like being rebranded Rangers and everything. They went through all the turmoil, and he stayed with them through the Scottish Championship, and now was one of the most prolific players at right back. Do you reckon he's better than Manquillo? Do you reckon he's better than Yedlin?
No.
Because I know we've said in the past, like the Scottish League's a Farmers League, but you look at the defenders that's
I didn't say that.
The players that have came through the Scottish League in the recent years, like Andrew Robertson's,
Van Dijk,
they've came through the Scottish League and they were written off.
I'd rather have had Mbappe back, tell you that.
I would have that, but I don't think, I've said this, we had this chat on the Facebook chat, I don't think he's any better than DeAndre Yedlin going forward. If you put DeAndre Yedlin into that Rangers team, he's a star in that league, and that's just a sad state of thing. I'm going to slate Scottish Premier League. I think it's awful. I think it's in the equivalent of the League One of our system. I think it's that standard.
I still think
if you take away the two big clubs, Rangers and Celtic, they are really, that league, the infrastructure, the stadiums, the attendance is awful, man.
Well, we've got a lovely fixture coming up shortly, haven't we, in Scotland, mate? Backtrack, reverse.
Don't watch that. I'll not be in Edinburgh. I'll be at the castle. I'll be at the zoo.
But the last name before we go to break is Gianfilippo Mateta.
Done well there.
Striker. So I did do very well. I mean, the one I'm not going to mention on my notes because I'm running out of time before the next part of the show. What do you think of him? Personally, I'm not going to lie, I don't know much about him. I've seen that he scored a couple of goals last season in the Bundesliga, but
I couldn't tell you. Don't know much about the lad.
I would just prefer some proven talent in the Premier League. We can't take too many risks taking in players from here, there, and everywhere. Let's get some people in who've done the league before.
Before we wrap up the part of the show, how many signings do you think we need, realistically?
6 or 7. Yeah.
6.
I think you've got to have a right back. You've got to have a left back.
I think we need a right back, left back, centre midfielder,
two strikers.
There you go.
But I think a striker's priority.
But Steve Bruce seems to be saying 4, so I hope we can get the 6. But
that means 2.
If it's 4, that
He has the final say.
He does have the final say.
You know what? It would be lovely as well if we actually heard from Penfold as well coming up in this press conference this week. Hint, hint, if anybody's listening at the club. And then maybe you can answer some questions about transfers and signings and that sort of thing.
Yeah,
you never know.
It wraps up with second last part of this show tonight. And yeah, I'll speak to you in a couple of minutes.
If you were listening on the radio, you listen to Don't Stop Believing by Journey, and I know things are bleak around Newcastle at the moment, but don't stop believing. Over to you, Kyle.
Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for the joke, Rob. To the Football Fan Zone on Nova Radio Northeast 102.5, as well as our live stream on YouTube. I'm your host, Kyle Thompson. I'm joined by Lee Lawyer, Paul Rudder, and the joke master himself, which is Rob Spiro.
Let me ask you a question.
Do
you think I'm psychic?
No, Rob, I don't think you're psychic.
I knew you were going to say that.
Right, 2 away games in the next 10 days. In the next week, sorry. Within 10 days, a couple of days of each other. Newcastle firstly travelling to Preston next Saturday, 3 p.m. kick-off. Then on the following Tuesday, Newcastle play Hibs, travelling up to Edinburgh for those travelling up. And then the following Saturday, we welcome back Matteo Debuchy and Remy Cabella as we play St Etienne at St James's Park. As we've discussed before, we'll have at least a player hopefully by the time the game comes around with these three, we'll have a couple of players to talk about. Joelinton mentioned the people that will be linked with, as I mentioned earlier on the programme. Who would you like to see get a chance in the next 3 games? I've looked at the likes of Yannick Torre, Victor Fernandez, the other lads that went to China, like Tom Allens, Matty Longstaff, etc., etc. Who would you like to see get an opportunity in these games?
For me, I don't think Fernandez or, unfortunately, the rest of the 23s will have a chance now. And I think when we start getting, as I say, likes of Almiron coming back and etc., I think I'm actually looking forward to seeing Almiron back. A bit of positivity in that line, a bit of someone who's not prepared to be scared and run at the man.
Skill.
I like to see him playing the 10. I would like to see him give him that chance if Bruce is going to change it up and play maybe wing backs, maybe 4-2-3-1.
Well, I was going to touch on that actually. What formation do you think he'll go with? Because he went with 2 different formations out in China. So do you reckon he's going to play 4-2-3-1, 5-3-2, tailor to the opposition, like maybe against St Etienne, he might go for 5 at the back because of some stronger opposition. But against like a Preston or Hibs, he might go with a 4 at the back to push players forward and try to get a couple of goals.
I don't know what he's going to do because it's still early doors and early days.
He's always gone 5-3-2, hasn't he? Before?
I would like to see, because we'll look strong at the back with a wing back, but giving Shelby that freedom a little bit and that giving him the bit of a licence to go forward in the 3. But then again, if you're playing 5, it means more work for the right wing back.
I like the 5.
I do, but last year with the wing backs had Perez and Almiron tucking in slightly. This year they don't have that. This year, if he does the 5-3-2, you'll not have that. Richie, I think, can do that job.
Yeah, he
on the other side,
well.
Yedlin going forward, he's got pace, but going backwards, doubtful. But 2 up top, I like to see that. See how we go. Maybe give another Sorensen another start.
Not many teams though play with 2 up top really.
It's very rare. Watford is the only one that springs to my mind straight away.
Yeah, they're not doing too bad, Watford, are they? So, how do you think we're going to do in these 3 games?
No disrespect, but against this opposition, we should be winning.
We should win all 3, do you reckon?
Yeah, we should be. No disrespect.
For me, it's just a case of I want to win these games, obviously, but I'd like to see a couple of the young ones feature heavily. I'd like to see Bruce put out a squad full of kids. I know Alan Hansen says he can't win anything with kids, but it's only a couple of friendlies one about. Do you know what I mean? So I'd like I'd like Tom Allen to get another chance.
But the thing is, we haven't had that much time to work. Well, Bruce hasn't on the training field, so every available situation he's got to take best advantage of. So does he start with his strongest team and then bring the kids on? Afterwards and stuff. And I do think with Rafa, he was very rigid to his formations. I think Bruce may change things about.
Yeah.
So we could just see 2 different formations, each half, and maybe the kids being starting one half, and then the more senior pros being thrown in, and mix it the match that way.
I completely agree. I'm hoping we can go into these games with a bit more, like Almiron coming back and things like that. I'd like to see them come in. I'd like a couple of the youngsters to come in. Matty Longstaff getting another chance. Tom Allen, because I know he had a bit of a blunder. But let us know what you think in the comments, because that wraps up tonight's show, lads. These have been great. It's been nice to present. First couple of parts of the show.
It's good to get the Steve Bruce out the way. Then had a bit of banter. Remember, hashtag it, Kyle out. Remember,
and then finally talk a bit of football. It was nice to crack on with you and crack on with the live chat as well. But that wraps up tonight's Football Fan Zone. I've been your host, Kyle Thompson. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching on the stream. I'll catch you in a bit.
And Kenny Wilshire in the comments asked me, have I got any news on England in Netball World Cup? Well, I don't really have much knowledge of, due to my vast knowledge of sport, netball sort of slipped through the net, if you like.
Is that what we're ending on? Sorry.
Yeah.
Jack Colback's a great midfielder. We'll end on something like
that. Hashtag Kyle out. Hashtag Kyle out.
Right, we'll end on that. See you later.